Is it finally time to buy that Bay Area home that you've been dreaming about all these years? With interest rates still high and inventory levels also at a multi-year high, this may be the most important buying decision that you'll make in the next decade or so. Today, I'm going to break down everything that you may need to know about the Bay Area housing market in the summer of 2025, including why single-story homes could be your smartest investment play. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Moon, your San Jose realtor, and if you're considering buying a home in the Bay Area right now, you're probably feeling overwhelmed by all the conflicting information out there. Should you wait for the rates to drop? Are the prices finally coming down? So let's dive into the data and give you a clear picture of what's really happening. Let's start with the current state of the Bay Area housing market, because understanding where we are today is crucial for making any buying decision. First up, interest rates. We're still seeing mortgage rates hovering around 6.8 to about 7%, which is significantly higher than the 2 to 3% rates that we saw during the pandemic. According to Freddie Mac, mortgage rates declined to 6.63 in March of 25, but have risen again to 6.72 in July. Here's what this means in real numbers. On a 1.7 million Bay Area median home with 20% down, you're looking at a monthly payment of approximately $8,800 versus about $5,700 at 3%. That's nearly $3,100 more, or 53% increase. But here's some potentially good news for buyers. Bay Area inventory is at a 5-year high. As of July, the Bay Area has more homes for sale than it did last summer, and many in the local media have been speculating and crowing all about a glimmer of hope of prospective home buyers despite a high interest rate. However, we're still not at a balanced market yet. Bay Area's unsold inventory increased almost 28% year over year to 2.3 months of supply, but 6 months or more is what's defined as a buyer's market. So price appreciation has significantly slowed down. The Bay Area median home price is at 1.7 million, slightly higher than it was in July of last year. This price stability is interesting because it suggests that the market is finding its balance after years of obvious dramatic increases. Now, here's a significant market factor: the return of Chinese buyers to California with a vengeance. Chinese buyers have spent $56 billion on real estate in the US between April 24 and March of 25. That's an increase of 83% from the previous year. Of that, 13.7 billion was spent specifically in California, and with Chinese buyers averaging 1.2 million per home purchase. And of course, in the Bay Area, this number is going to be significantly higher compared to the rest of the country. So what's driving all of this? The weakening US dollar due to the tariff makes our homes in the US much more attractive to foreign investors. And 36% of Chinese buyers are choosing California as their select destination. Here's something that most buyers aren't fully considering when evaluating properties: the strong preference for single-story homes among the Bay's most cash-rich buyer demographics. So we all know that the baby boomers and Gen Xers are aging. So right now, boomers are between the age of 61 and 79, and Gen X is between 45 and 60. So what's not being discussed enough is how this translates into a very specific housing preference that creates a fantastic investment opportunity for you. These demographics strongly favor single-story homes for obvious reasons: no stairs to navigate, easier maintenance, and better accessibility as mobility issues naturally change with age. From my own experience, the number one requirement for my clients downsizing is the single level home. Mind you, many of these people are not suffering from mobility issues. They are already preparing for that inevitability. When you combine baby boomers and Gen X, you're looking at approximately 135 million people. And this group tends to have significantly more cash and equity than your average younger buyer. So here's the key insight: So while everyone is talking about the aging population, most buyers aren't factoring this preference of theirs into their purchasing decision. So we're not building enough single family and single story homes to meet this preference that specifically that these guys want. And most new constructions focus on multi-story homes or condos. So if you live in the Bay Area, tell me how many communities that you know of that are building single level homes. This creates a clear opportunity. So if you purchase a single story home now, when you're ready to sell your next move, you're going to have a product that's highly sought after by cash rich buyers who often don't need financing and can close very quickly, obviously. So these buyers prioritize convenience and accessibility over getting the very best absolute lowest price. And that's who you want. While prices aren't crashing, we are seeing more sellers provide concessions. The Mercury News reported that 1 in every 2 homes on the market in the South Bay dropped their prices in June. And this is also in the form of concessions to buy down rates. This gives buyers more negotiating power than we've seen in many years. So you might be able to secure a home for overall 5 to 10% below asking price in certain areas, especially if you're flexible on things like timing and location and what you can put together in terms of a negotiated deal. Despite being high by recent standards, today's rates could be tomorrow's good deal. If you secure a fixed rate mortgage right now, especially through a buy down, you're protected against future rate increases. Remember, you can always refinance later if the rate drops significantly, and all things are pointing to that possibility. Here's a crucial consideration. While you're waiting for that perfect time to buy, you're still paying rent. Bay Area's rental prices are expected to rise as potential buyers remain renters due to affordability issues and challenges. So if you're paying $4,000 to $5,000 a month in rent anyway, that $8,800 mortgage payment starts to look more reasonable when you're building equity instead of just paying somebody else's mortgage for them. Most importantly, if you buy a single story home now, you're positioning yourself to appeal to the Bay Area's most cash rich buyer segment when it's time for you to sell your property. And these buyers often prefer quick, straightforward type of a transaction and are less price sensitive than the younger buyers who need maximum financing and bring with them a lot of their lender conditions and requirements. Let's be honest about the biggest challenge. It's that high mortgage rate. So according to Bankrate's mid-2025 update, homeownership costs beyond the mortgage payments now average about $21,400 per year, or about $1,800 per month, up 18% from just a year ago. So this means on top of that $8,800 mortgage payment, you're looking at nearly $1,800 a month in additional costs for things like maintenance, property taxes, insurance, and HOA fees if there are any. So that's on a national average. So in the Bay Area, you can multiply that by at least 2. While inventory is up, you're still competing with well-funded buyers. Those Chinese investors I talked about earlier, they're often paying all cash and averaging $1.2 million per transaction. But remember, that's on a national average. So that number is going to be much higher in the Bay Area, and especially in the more luxurious area. This could make it challenging for traditional buyers who need financing, especially in, again, desirable areas like Palo Alto, Los Altos, San Mateo, and the ritzier parts of Silicon Valley. We're in a period of economic transition. So while the Bay Area's tech-driven economy remains pretty strong, there are still concerns about job security in certain sectors. Potential recession risk is out there, and the continued inflationary pressures. So if your job security isn't rock solid, taking on an $8,800 monthly housing payment could be pretty risky. Here's the math that you need to do. Financial advisors typically recommend that your total household cost shouldn't exceed between 28 and 30% of your gross monthly income. So for that $8,800 mortgage payment plus an $1,800 of additional cost, your household needs to make an income of approximately $400,000 a year. But the Bay Area's incomes are higher than the national averages. So, according to recent data, the median household income in Santa Clara County is about 154,000, which means most buyers and their home incomes are stretching beyond the traditional ratio needed for a dual income family. So consider some of these strategies. So ARM, or adjustable rate mortgage, versus fixed. So if you believe that rates are going to drop in 2 to 3 years, a 5/1 or 7/1 ARM might save you money much more so initially. Rate buy downs. So instead of lowering the purchase price, it might be more beneficial to you to negotiate a 2-year rate buy down to lower your monthly payments. Jumbo loans are basically what everybody in the Bay Area's buyers are looking for. So shop around. A rate difference of even maybe 1/4% can save you hundreds in a monthly. Down payment options, while 20% are being done to avoid PMI, some buyers are putting down between 10 to 15% to preserve cash for emergencies later on. So don't forget these Bay Area specific types of costs. Property taxes around here average about 1.2% of the home's value on an annual basis. Earthquake insurance are running between $800 and $2,000 annually. And if you belong to an HOA, you're looking at about $300 to $800 a month in many of these communities. And maintenance. Older Bay Area homes need significant updates, especially if you live in older areas like San Francisco or even in San Jose, some of the older neighborhoods. The right time to buy depends on your personal situation, of course. So buy now if you can plan to stay 7 years or more. Your household income is 400,000 or more. If you have 6 months of expenses saved beyond your down payment, and your job is secure in a recession-proof field. And also, if you're tired of rent increases and want stability and equity building capabilities. And also, if you can find a single-story home that fits your needs. Wait to buy if you might be relocating in the next 3 to 5 years, or if your income is a variable format and is not certain, or if you don't have adequate emergency savings, or if you're hoping for some sort of a market crash, which data suggests is highly unlikely. If you're choosing between similar types of properties, strongly consider the single-story option, even if it's going to cost you slightly more. The preference from these cash-rich aging buyers for these types of properties in the near future, it creates a built-in advantage when it's time for you to sell, as these buyers often prioritize convenience and can move much quickly, and they're going to have more competition for these properties, and they're going to come without financing contingencies, which is what you definitely want as a seller. So consider these markets and strategies. So for Peninsula, it's still premium pricing, but there's more inventory, especially for single-story ranch types of homes. East Bay, it's much more affordable, and there are many single-story options in established neighborhoods. South Bay, it tends to be tech proximity, but it's got the highest competition, though single-story homes still exist. And for North Bay, it's got the most inventory and potentially best deals on single-story type of properties. With Chinese buyers increasing their purchases by 83% and focusing heavily on California real estate, this additional demand could support prices and create even more competition. And keep in mind, it's not just the Chinese. There are other foreign buyers who see U.S. properties right now as being cheap investments. And if you're planning to buy eventually, waiting might mean you're going to be competing against even more of these well-funded international buyers. So, is it time to buy a house in the Bay Area right now? Based on all the data that we've reviewed, here's my conclusion. It's not the perfect time to buy, but it may be your time to buy, especially if you can secure a single story home. Here's why. We're in a period of a market stabilization. Prices aren't crashing, but they're not really skyrocketing either. So inventory is improving, giving you more choices. Interest rates, while high, could go even higher if economic conditions change. And most importantly, if you're financially ready, meaning you have stable income, adequate savings, and plan to stay long term, the opportunity cost of waiting might be higher than the cost of buying right now. The preference for single family housing among cash rich buyers isn't going away anytime soon. And by buying a single family story home now, you're not just buying a place to live, you're positioning yourself to appeal to the Bay Area's most financially capable buyer when it's time for you to sell. The days of the 3% interest rate and bidding wars with 20 plus offers are behind us now. We're now in a more normalized market where qualified buyers can actually negotiate and have time to make thoughtful decisions. My recommendation: if you meet the financial criteria that we discussed earlier and you found a home that you love in an area where you can want to build your life, especially a single story home, don't try to time the market perfectly. Buy the home, not just the investment. Remember, the best time to buy real estate is when you're financially ready and you found that right property that fits all of your needs. The second best time is now. If those conditions are met, particularly considering that the strong appeal of a single story home to the Bay Area's most cash rich group, it's all gravy for you. What do you think? Are you planning to buy in the Bay Area or are you wanting to wait it out? And have you considered the single story advantage in your property search? So let me know in the comments below. If this video helped clarify the Bay Area's market for you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more real estate analysis like this. I post new videos every week and breaking down local market trends and helping you make smarter real estate decisions. And if you're serious about buying in the Bay Area or San Jose, especially if you're interested in single story properties, I put together a Bay Area buyer's guide with current interest rate resources, recommended lenders, and neighborhood specific insights for accessible housing options. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.